So without going through the whole story that you told in very dramatically in the TEDx presentation, maybe you can give our listeners an overview of the painful condition you suffered from for a number of years.
Absolutely. Long story short, I was doing network engineering and operations, and that was my life. I loved it. And basically I had an accident, and technically two, a car accident and a fall, and my entire life changed. I went from living a full life to being wheelchair, walker, cane for almost 7 years,
Wow.
on morphine every day. And and my doctors said that I wouldn't get better and there was nothing they could do. And so on a good day, I could get around using a wheelchair or short distances with a walker or cane. And a lot of days I was in bed on morphine, just didn't even want to breathe because I was in so much pain. And that was my life.
Wow. And you must have been in just terrible despair that was your life, and it didn't look like it was going to change at all.
Yeah, those were some dark days.
Yeah.
I honestly like that. I think that's part of what kept me going, is because I quickly learned that when I felt like I was never going to get better, I didn't want to live. And those days were so dark that if I could just keep my mind focused on, was there a possible way? And at first it was like diet and supplements and fat, like different health stuff, trying to get better. But it was like, if I was at least focusing on trying to find some type of solution, I could make it through the day in a much better way than if I just felt like there was nothing. So that definitely kept me going.
Yeah. So I guess you were online kind of looking at all the things that are out there that promise relief, success, happiness, all of that.
I was doing everything that I could find. Yeah. Supplements, meditating and visualizing and all of the online and also books. I mean, just it didn't work, but that's where I started. Yeah. So.
Was psychotherapy ever a part of your recovery seeking?
It wasn't really a part of my recovery seeking. I didn't. It wasn't psychotherapy. It wasn't really something that was even on the table at that point.
Yeah.
So
then there was something in you, in your search and your persistence, that you settled on thinking about the placebo effect and spontaneous remissions. What was it what was it in you that sort of triggered that, do you think?
When I wasn't getting better, so it was kind of like when they told me I wasn't going to heal, I said, I wasn't willing to give up. And so I kept asking for more and more doctors, and I would go in and there would be entire teams of doctors who would see me and try to figure out some plan. So I was going through like nerve ablations and infusions and all this stuff. And then I got to a point where suddenly like my doctors called me and said, there's a trial experiment and that I could be a part of it. And I thought, oh my God, like I'm going to get my whole life back. Like it was like that's what you hope for, is somebody's going to, right? Even now with COVID, there's been a lot of people who are like, okay, well, we only need this magic cure and then all these things. And it was that feeling in my life times 100. It was like, okay, what is the next? Like, I want them to just cure me and then I can get better. And so that was my mindset. And so I got to go into this trial experiment. And I thought, oh my God, like I'm going to get better. And then when I got there, the doctor came in. So they got me, they wheeled me into the hospital. They got me all set up for this procedure. And I was like literally laying in the hospital bed thinking about all of the things that I was going to do and what it was going to feel like to get better and all these things. And so the doctor, he finally came in and he looked at me and he did an assessment and he read my chart and he was like, we actually don't expect you to get better. You can't be a part of the study. And in that moment when he said that, it was like
the floor dropped out, right?
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, it was absolutely that. I couldn't catch my breath. It was like every hope that I had went out the window. And so I don't remember leaving the hospital that day, and I don't remember what happened the next few days, but the next memory I have is I was laying in bed and I didn't even want to open my eyes. I was like, what's the point? And I was just at this place where it was just, there's no point. I knew I couldn't live my life the way I was. And then I had this voice or this thought that came into my mind that was like, what about the placebo? And leading up to the whole trial study and all that, I had kept thinking, please don't get the placebo, please don't get the placebo. And so that in that moment right there, it was like, well, wait a second. It's a known fact that the placebo can actually show results. And I was like, so if I could somehow figure out what it was in the brain that was making that happen, then there was still a chance that I could get better. And with that, like, I couldn't give up.